Hi you guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm going to try my best to get through this video. Please just bear with me. I'm sure you all have read by the title that unfortunately I lost my baby. The reason why I'm recording this video is because, believe it or not, I do believe that this is healing for me to get it out, or that it will be healing for me to get it out, to go ahead and talk about it now, and also because you all are like my family and I share a lot with you all, but I don't want to just share the highs. I feel like I should definitely include you guys on the lows as well. God has been pushing me to go ahead and record this video so that it could help someone else one day. I'm gonna go ahead and just start with a recap, reflect on the good times with my baby. So shortly after Horace's dad passed away back in September of 2021, we found out we were pregnant. I took a pregnancy test at home and I recorded the whole experience, and you guys were able to experience that with me. We were so excited. And then too, we looked forward to just that excitement of having something to love on, you know, and to comfort us during this time of loss. So yeah, I surprised him with a gift, and inside of the box is that it had a positive pregnancy test, well, 2 positive pregnancy tests with a cute little onesie and some other baby things. I've never even had a positive pregnancy test ever before, and so to see that pop up, I just remember how surreal it felt, but how happy I was, like, because I've always wanted to be a mom. So that was truly an amazing feeling. So fast forward, we ended up having a gender reveal and we found out that it was a baby girl. That gender reveal, I think, was in January or February, one of them, I can't think. I'm not for sure at the moment, but I was so happy. I've always been grateful for Paisley, because I looked at it as, you know, because I always prayed when I was younger that when I got married one day and had children, I always wanted to have a girl first. So I'm like, oh, thank God he gave me a girl. But to find out that God was also about to allow me to birth a girl first as well, like, I felt double blessed, you know. And I was so happy, and Horace was so happy because, you know, he wanted a girl too, Paisley wanted a girl. And so when we found out it was a girl, we were extremely excited. When I found out I was pregnant, it sparked something in me. And I just remember feeling so different. My work ethic was harder and everything. And she just gave me this drive that I had never had before, you know. Even on the days when I was tired and I didn't feel like getting up and going to work, I got up and I went and I did what I had to do for her. I used to enjoy feeling her kick every day. In the morning, she would wake up and start moving around, wiggling around. And then I'd wake up and I'd talk to her and tell her good morning. And I enjoyed spending my lunch breaks with her. Every time I ate, she would literally wiggle around so much. Especially when I ate ice. That was like my ice eating buddy, seriously. Every time. She loved when I would sing to her. when I would read to her, when I would play music for her. She knew my voice at night after work. And I would lay down and get ready to go to sleep at night, and I would just rub my belly and talk to her. And every time, it was like routine. Every single time I talked to her, she'd get excited. She also loved the sound of her daddy's voice. And literally, I could like feel her nudging in the direction of wherever he was. We had made so many plans for her. I was literally down to like 7 or 8 weeks left to go before her arrival. We were planning the baby shower. We were planning the maternity shoot. We were planning, you know, getting things together for her nursery nook and all of that. And I only had a few weeks left. I was getting ready to post my second trimester recap, and now that I was in my third, I was at bi-weekly appointments, you know, at the doctor and everything. And everything just came to an abrupt stop. On April 10th, I noticed that I wasn't really feeling my baby move. I'm far enough along to where I should be feeling my baby move every single day, versus like being early on in pregnancy and how sometimes you can go a few days with that. You can feel the baby sometimes, and then sometimes you might not feel the baby. But like I said, because I was still in my third trimester, I should have been feeling her every day. So that's why it alarmed me once I really noticed it. But I figured that, you know, it was normal because I had been doing a lot of moving around and I was on my feet a lot this particular day. And usually when I move around a lot, it just rocked her to sleep. I actually have a coworker who was pregnant with me at the same time. And she was literally a few days away from giving birth when she noticed that her baby wasn't moving much. But, you know, and she kind of got alarmed, but she had like a Doppler thing where she could hear his heartbeat. And so, and was able to find his heartbeat. And so she was like, okay, you know, I don't know why he's not moving much, but it was nothing to be worried about. Like, I guess he just was sleeping a lot that day. So I thought that this was the same situation, that maybe she was just sleeping a lot more than normal. I just remember saying, you know, when I woke up that morning, if I do not feel her this morning, then I am going to call the doctor. And so that's what I did. Me and my husband called the doctor, and his words were, well, babies, you know, they sleep a lot, so it's probably nothing to be worried about, but just go, I want you to go into labor and delivery so that you can be monitored. So while me and my husband were getting ready, you know, he went ahead and called off work. I went ahead and called off work. I just remember getting ready, and we were just trying to, you know, hurry up and get dressed. But my husband, you know, he started to get a little nervous, especially when we heard the doctor say to go ahead and go into labor and delivery. You know, I literally said, my faith is strong enough to where I am not moved by this. I believe everything's okay. She's fine. And I don't think we need to alarm the family because everything's going to be fine. So we're driving, and he's rubbing my belly and everything, and he's like, you know, you still don't feel anything? And I'm like, no. And so then he starts talking to her. And then he said, come on, Kensley, move her daddy. And she still wouldn't move. Mind you, prior to, I had tried everything. I shook my belly gently. I talked to her. And every time I talked to her, she would move. And she wouldn't move this time. I played music for her. Nothing worked. So when we got to the hospital, I had to change into a gown and go lay on the table. And they began to use a little Doppler machine thing. And it was really quiet. And then, you know, she just kept trying and she kept trying to find a heartbeat, but she wasn't saying anything. And then she brought another nurse in to help her find it. And so now they're doing an ultrasound, and they keep, you know, moving the thing around my belly, and it's just silent for a long time. And then my husband, he started to get frustrated, you know, because they're not saying anything, they're not telling us anything. It's just silence, and you know, it's like it's taking them forever. And then he goes, so like, is everything okay? Like, what's going on? And they said, we're working to find the heartbeat, but right now we're not really getting anything. And I was staring at the ceiling and talking to God in my head, like, God, please don't do this. But that's when I started to worry, and tears just started to roll down my face. So then that's when a few more minutes passed by, and still nothing. And at this point, I just started talking to God out loud and praying out loud. And the next thing you know, the second lady, she stops and she looks at me. And she says, I'm so sorry, but your baby has passed away. But after she said that, it was like an outer body experience. I just remember kind of sitting up and looking at her, and I was just numb. I was just like in shock. And I went from in shock for like 2 seconds to completely wailing and just crying so loud. And I'm like, why? What's wrong? What happened? And then the nurses go, you did nothing wrong. It's not your fault. I'm so sorry. That's all they could say. And my husband just grabs me and I cling back tight to him. We're just both crying. And he starts to make the phone calls to our parents and aunts and uncles and my grandparents. And I mean, when you go to the hospital to check on your baby, you don't expect to hear those words. You don't expect to hear anything like that. If anything, you just expect to hear like, oh, everything's fine. They find the heartbeat and it's healthy. My baby was healthy, perfectly healthy. I was healthy pregnancy, no issues. My prenatal appointments were brief, they were quick. They always found her heartbeat and it was always strong, always healthy. And then all of a sudden something like this happens and it's like, but why? Like what? And so then they moved us to another room. They allowed for us to have, you know, our different family members to come up there and to visit us and comfort us and show support. And I was so grateful because I really needed that. And my mom flew up there and his mom. I mean, we had so much support, and I'm so grateful to everybody in my family, and just everyone who just had shown a flood of love and support to us during that time, because we needed all of you all. We really did. My husband, I'm so proud of how he handled everything. He was everything that I needed him to be and more. He got back up really quickly and he just started to take care of business, because I was not in the headspace to do any of that. And it's just like he just really turned into a superhero, and I don't have the words to express how grateful I am. So then they move us, you know, to this room, and that's where we have to have the hard conversations of the fact that I had to be induced, and I was going to have to give birth, and that, you know, she would be stillborn. And so they were going to give me different medications and stuff to help my body go into labor, since it was so early. My body was not ready to go into labor. And so when they were giving me the medication and trying different procedures, in the beginning they weren't working, and some of those procedures were very painful, and it was really hard to have heard these terrible words, and then to have to go through this agonizing pain right after, and it's like back to back to back. So finally, on the night of April 12th, the contractions started to come in really strong. I had been feeling, you know, contractions here and there with the medication, but they were never consistent. Yeah, so I want to say around 2 a.m. They were really close together, and they were really hard, really painful. Labor pains is no joke, like really. I woke my husband up and I was like I'm really in pain. You know, I had heard stories of people who would get the epidural too soon and it would wear off and things like that, and I just didn't want to risk that, so I tried to hold out for as long as I could, and I just dealt with the pain, and I dealt with it, and I just remember feeling like, oh my gosh, like I don't want to sit down, like I want to get up. And he was helping me kind of walk around, because when you're like feeling those labor pains, the last thing you want to do is just be sitting on your bottom. Well, that was my case. Sitting on my bottom was really making it like worse. It just was extremely uncomfortable. So I want to say at about 6 a.m. contractions had got so intense to where they were so close together and so strong I couldn't even get like a break or a breather in between, and I finally was like, okay, I need the epidural. And so that's when we notified, my husband paged the nurse. We notified them. They came in, got the epidural and everything. And so then I was able to relax and rest. The doctor had came in after I had gotten the epidural, broke my water, and so I felt an initial like release of water. And so then that's when me and my husband's favorite nurse, because God had literally sent her to come the day that I was supposed to deliver, because she was the best nurse that I had had the whole time I was there. I mean, the other ones were good, but she was really God sent, and she's anointed for her job, and I'll literally never forget her. But she came in, and she, not long after I had the epidural, she began to put me in these different positions with what they call a peanut ball. I think it's a really big ball, almost the size of a yoga ball, not quite, but she kind of put me over on my, well, not on my stomach, but like on my side, and tilted me, and she put the peanut ball between my legs. And literally that position, like I was not in it that long, and all of a sudden I started to feel pressure. Now I'm feeling more release of water, and now I'm also feeling pressure with it. And so she would always ask like, okay, so is the pressure in the front or in the back? And I would tell her, oh, it's in the front. And then a few minutes later, well, not even minutes, I want to say some seconds later, the same thing happens, and this time it's a lot of pressure. And I'm like certain that it's time for me to push. And so I go, oh my God. And my husband said my eyes got so big because I was like scared, because I'm like, okay, so I'm pretty sure I feel her head like coming out, like, you know. And so I'm like, I'm panicking. And so then the nurse was like, no, don't panic, like it's okay, I'm just gonna take a look. So her and my husband, you know, flipped me over, and she looks and she goes, oh, so you were feeling that pressure because the baby's head is right here, it's coming out. And so that's when it was time to push. And so they began to scramble and, you know, get suited up and get prepared for the delivery. And so that's when the nurse, she told me to push, and I pushed once, and then she said, oh, she has a head full of hair. And I immediately started to cry. And my husband's holding my hand. I look at him and I said, I knew it. I knew she was gonna have a head full of hair. A head full of beautiful hair. And he's, you know, telling me like, you got this. It's gonna be okay. Like, I know. And then I pushed one more time. I pushed a total of 3 times, and baby slipped right on out. And it was so bittersweet, because in a very strange way, it was one of the most beautiful experiences of my life. Even though I knew she wasn't gonna be able to come home with me, and even though I knew she wasn't alive, it still was so beautiful, and I'd do it all over again for my baby. And Horace cut the umbilical cord. They took her to the back and they cleaned her up and everything, and then they brought her back out, and I got a chance to hold my baby and to kiss my baby. And she was so beautiful, and it's like I had no idea that she was like so developed. She had fingernails and eyelashes and eyebrows and a head full of hair. Practically fully developed. She looked exactly like her daddy. Just like I said, literally just like I assumed. But I miss her so much. I miss feeling her. I miss her presence. I miss my best friend, my food buddy, my ice eating buddy. Man, it all feels like a bad dream. And I wish I could just wake up from it, but this is my process, and I'm just gonna have to walk through it. Her name was Kensley. We never got a chance to reveal the name to you all though. And her middle name, I decided to name her after my mom. My mom's middle name is Elaine, but we named her Elaina, and so it was Kensley Elaina Moss. I think it's so beautiful. But that's my baby, and she will always be my baby, and I will always be her mama, and I love her so much. So that's my stillbirth story, and it's so unfortunate, and it's such a tragic thing, and it was very traumatizing, and I'm just trying to navigate through it all. But I know that God has a plan. I know that I have purpose outside of this. I know that God also says in his word that all things work together for the good of those who love the Lord and are called according to his purpose. I know that God will never leave me nor forsake me, and that he is a very present help in the time of trouble. And I'm still going to trust him anyhow, because he's still God, and he's still good, and he still holds all power in his hands. And just because he didn't allow my baby to live does not mean that he was not able. It just means that he had another plan in mind. There's purpose for this pain, and I may not understand it now, but I choose to believe that someday I will. This here is a little lamb that our family support person, her name is Marissa, she gave this to me, and it's to remember my baby by. Y'all excuse my face. It's so sweet and so cute. She gave me one and one to Paisley, and it says, I could never replace your precious baby, but during the time she needs something to hold, I'll be there. And I just wanted this to be in the video. It's so that I can remember my baby. They also gave me a memory box right here that has her handprints, her footprints, her blanket, and stuff like that. I can make a separate video if y'all want to see me go through this box. But thank you all for watching this video. I will see you all in my next video.